We're going to talk about a strategy to help you turn your wedges into scoring clubs and help you drop shots every round you play from here on out. Once you get these wedges in your hands, these are when we need to start eliminating bogeys or double bogeys or hitting them closer to make more birdies, whatever skill level you are at. But we need to start taking advantage when we have these clubs in our hands and avoiding stupid mistakes. So if you have not seen it, I would go back to the last longer form video that I did, and that is going to be one where we talk a little bit more about how do you hit a knockdown wedge shot? What is the technique? Why is it important to take the full swing wedge out of your game to control distance, spin, trajectory, all those sorts of things? But now we're going to get into how to control the distances. So what I like to do is build something called a wedge matrix. And this strategy is not for everyone. Some players are strictly feel-based, which I thought I was for a long time until I started to implement this. And this is something that has helped me a ton over this past year. So what we're going to do is we are going to take every wedge in the bag and have 2 or 3 swings with each club and know exactly how far that carries. So the 2 swings I would at least recommend are going to be sort of a chest high to chest high swing, or lead arm parallel. For me, being right-handed, is going to be my left arm. That arm to parallel to kind of parallel on the follow through. And then a more 3/4 swing where you are going to go a little bit more shoulder high to shoulder high through the shot. One that I've added recently is a club shaft parallel to the ground or waist high to waist high swing. So I'll kind of talk through how I like to build this. But again, the whole point of this is taking the guesswork out, where it doesn't matter if you can hit a pitching wedge 160 yards. If you can't dial it back and fly your wedges 68 yards every single time on a dot, or if you can't start to have a consistent go-to 80-yard shot, that max distance of your wedge isn't going to help your scoring. You have to be able to control it, and that's what this is going to do. So for every wedge in the bag, this is again where I will have those 2 or 3 swings, and after doing this for quite a while, I will know that when I have a 54 degree in my hand, if I have a little bit more of that waist high to waist high swing, this ball should carry in the ballpark of about 25 yards. So 23.5, pretty close there. When I go with more of my chest high to chest high swing, this ball should carry a little bit more in the ballpark, closer to 80 yards. .6, and I know that when I swing this about 3/4, this ball should carry in the ballpark of about 100 to 102 yards. So 99.8. So that is something where I will go through and do that with every wedge. I know with my 60 degree that it goes about 20 yards, 60 yards, 80 yards. I know with my 50 degree, it's going to go a little bit closer to about 60 yards, 90 yards, 115 yards. So pretty much from 20 yards all the way up to 115, there's no guesswork. If you get these weird little in-between distances where 70 yards is kind of an awkward one for me, I may open up the 54 degree and make the 80-yard swing, where I may just open that face up a degree or two, make the same swing, and it's going to be close. But again, the guesswork is done. So not everybody is going to have access to TrackMan or another launch monitor, or whatever it may be. So what I would do, if you are at the range or if you are at a course that is fairly empty, which never really seems to be the case anymore nowadays, but what I would do is take 20 golf balls, and I would take your 60 degree, and I would go and I would hit shots. Go to an open hole or go to the side of a range where you aren't going to be in the way. And I would just take 20 golf balls, take your 60 degree, and hit 20 shots from here to here. Or if you only want the 2 swings, start with the chest high to chest high method. Then I would go out and I would kind of leave your bag next to where you're hitting all those shots, take a rangefinder, walk out to each ball, laser your bag from every ball, write them down as you go, take the average. And I would take the average of the decent shots. Of course, if you chunk one right in front of you and it goes 5 yards, or you blade one and it goes 130 yards, we don't want to count those into the averages. We want to go with the averages of the ones that were hit fairly well, what you would expect to do on the course most of the time. So that's where I would take a rangefinder, walk out to the range, laser back, hit your bag, and then keep track of all 20. 20 is a small sample size. Of course, the more shots you can have, the more accurate it will be. If you can have hundreds in a sample, that's going to be great. But I would do that with every wedge, and then I would kind of collect those 20. I would go back and hit 60 degrees or 58 degrees, whatever your higher lofted wedge is, up to the shoulder high method. Do the same thing. Leave your bag next to where you hit them, laser every ball, take the average of the decent ones, collect them up again, do do it with every wedge. So it's not something that is typically done in a day. It takes a while to get numbers that you're used to, but that is going to completely take the guesswork out. Some players go purely off of feel, and if you've been playing for a long time, that is not wrong to do by any means. But especially if you are a newer player, you need to have those wedge distances dialed in. There's nothing worse than hitting what you think is a solid wedge shot, and then you carry the green by 10 yards, or you feel like you made great contact, put a good move on it, and you come up 10 yards short of the green. It's maybe not that the technique was bad, it's just you didn't really know how far that was going to go. So if you can, I highly recommend building that wedge matrix. It's going to take the guesswork out of your wedges. You're going to start to hit them closer, and now you're going to eliminate big numbers. If you get yourself in trouble, you're going to be able to get out of it, or you're going to hit them closer and make more birdies or par at worst.